Have you ever felt like your emotions are a tidal wave, crashing over you with no warning? One moment you're swept up in a torrent of feelings, the next you're numb and disconnected. You're not alone in this paradoxical experience, but understanding it can be a game changer. In this video, we'll delve into the root causes of intense emotional sensitivity, exploring how childhood trauma and emotional neglect shape our inner landscapes. We'll examine how past experiences influence our emotional intelligence, often making us feel like we're drowning in our own feelings. But here's the thing. Being a deeply emotional person can also be a source of strength, creativity, and resilience. You see, being a deeply emotional person isn't just about being sensitive. It's often the result of a complex interplay between our past experiences and how we've learned to navigate the world. Childhood trauma or neglect can leave an indelible mark on our emotional landscapes, making us more attuned to subtle cues and more prone to intense emotional responses. So how do you know if you're caught in this cycle? Let's explore the signs that indicate you might be overthinking or people-pleasing. Have you ever found yourself ruminating on conversations long after they've ended, replaying every word and tone, wondering if you said something wrong? Or maybe you're the one who always asks for feedback, craving validation from others to feel seen and heard. These patterns can be a sign that you're using overthinking as an emotional numbing mechanism. It's like being stuck in a perpetual state of what-ifs, constantly seeking reassurance that you're doing enough, saying the right things, and fitting into someone else's expectations. Over time, this can lead to feelings of exhaustion, resentment, and confusion about your own needs and desires. You might start to feel like you're losing yourself in the process, like you're a puzzle piece constantly trying to fit into someone else's picture. It's a subtle but insidious pattern that can quietly erode your self-worth and relationships. If you're someone who feels too much, you know the thrill of falling deeply in love. It's like a symphony playing in your heart. Every note is amplified. Every moment is savored. But what happens when this intensity attracts the wrong kind of attention? When someone with their own emotional baggage, their own unresolved trauma, starts to dance with yours? Think of it like two pianos being played at different frequencies. Your piano might be playing a beautiful melody while theirs is producing a discordant note that clashes with yours. At first, you might not even notice the dissonance. You're so caught up in the thrill of connection, the excitement of sharing your feelings with someone who claims to understand. But as time goes on, the discomfort starts to build. You feel like you're being pulled under by a riptide, struggling to keep your head above water. And yet, you might still believe that this is what love feels like: intense, all-consuming, and ultimately unbearable. Let's face it, feeling too much is not just a side effect of loving deeply. It's also a result of being human in today's world. We're constantly bombarded with stimuli that can trigger overwhelming emotions, from social media to news headlines. It's like trying to swim in a stormy sea without a lifeline. Imagine you're a musician, and your emotions are the notes on the piano. When you feel too much, it's as if someone has pressed every key at once. Beautiful, yet chaotic. To create harmony, you need to learn how to play each note individually, rather than letting them clash. For Sarah, a single mom I've worked with, this meant setting aside dedicated time for self-care and prioritizing her own needs. She started by taking long walks during her lunch break and journaling before bed. By doing so, she created space between the notes, allowing her emotions to flow in a more manageable way. As we've explored the benefits of feeling too much, creativity, empathy, connection, it's essential to acknowledge a darker side of this trait. You see, intense emotional sensitivity can also lead to self-sabotage and high-functioning depression. Imagine being a master pianist with emotions pouring out like music, but instead of playing in harmony, you're constantly fighting the urge to shatter the notes. This is what it's like for many people who feel too much. They're trapped between expressing themselves authentically and avoiding overwhelm. You know, when we try to suppress or change our emotions, it's like trying to hold water in a fragile cup. The harder we squeeze, the more likely it is to spill over. And when that happens, we often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and even ashamed of our feelings. Think about it. Have you ever tried to put on a brave face in front of others, only to feel like you're suffocating inside? Or perhaps you've attempted to toughen up after a painful experience, only to realize that your emotions are still simmering beneath the surface? It's as if we're trying to silence our inner whispers, but they just get louder. And in the process, we might lose touch with what's truly going on inside us. By accepting and embracing our emotions, rather than fighting them, we can begin to untangle ourselves from this cycle of suppression and shame. Imagine taking a deep breath, feeling your heart rate slow down, and allowing yourself to simply be with your emotions, not trying to change or fix them, but merely acknowledging their presence. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with a gentle reminder. Feeling too much is not something to be ashamed of or feared. In fact, it's often a sign that you're deeply alive and connected to the world around you. Think of it like being an artist who sees colors in every shade, hearing music in every melody. Your emotional sensitivity is like having an extra sense that allows you to experience life with vividness and depth. For some, this might mean feeling overwhelmed by the smallest setbacks or joys. But what if we reframed this as a superpower? What if we saw our emotions not as burdens, but as clues to understanding ourselves and others better? I want to encourage you to explore your emotional sensitivity, not to try to change it, but to learn from it. To find balance in a world that often favors emotional suppression, let's start by acknowledging the beauty of our feelings. Let's be kind to ourselves when we feel too much, and trust that this is where growth and understanding begin. As we come full circle, remember that feeling too much isn't something to be ashamed of. It's a sign of your depth, your capacity for love and connection. You've been through so much, and yet you're still here, still breathing, still feeling. That takes courage. Now it's time to start honoring the complexity of your emotions, rather than trying to numb or deny them. You have the power to choose how you respond to your feelings, to lean into them with curiosity and compassion instead of fear. Trust that this is where growth begins.